JD's a Southsider. You ran with the Southsiders. So if somebody another white were to see you in the county jail and say, "What's up, Wood?" I mean, what would your reaction be to him?
Well, my first thing, and I've been through that many times.
Yeah, of course,
I can tell you that. So I've always kept it respectful because, in my mind, I already know that, this cat don't know that I'm a homie. All he sees is he sees a white dude coming at him. So I just respectfully say, hey, nah, man, I'm a Sureño, or I'm a Southsider. And then right off the bat, it's happened every single time. They've always been respectful. They've always been like, oh, my bad. Well, your people are over here or over there.
Right. So like, there's never been any issues with that, you know what I mean? And so when you first went to the county jail, what year was it?
First year I ever went to the county jail, 1992.
Okay, back in 92. So yeah, that was already happening pretty regularly anyway. You know what I mean? A lot of whites were becoming Southsiders, but you just went in as a normal Joe from, the streets. You were clicked up, correct? Or not clicked up at this point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was, I had like a crew. We had a crew, and we had a specific name for ourselves and everything, but it wasn't like, we weren't like a big old giant neighborhood,
Right, big old Ica. So
yeah, right, big old Ica. Yeah.
So you were running with Southsiders on the calles, as you would put it, right? You were running with the streets. So, but when you went to county jail, you were trying to kick it with the whites originally, correct?
Well, I mean, I was told by my uncle that you have to stick with your race because he's been in and out of prison, as long as I've known him. And then my other uncle, who's deceased, my uncle, rest in peace, he was also in prison back in the 70s. And so my uncle told me, basically, he says, when you get in there, he goes, I don't care what you run on the streets, you got to stick with your people. And the one thing that I do know is true, that there are other white dudes that have ran around in like Long Beach, run around in like maybe San Diego or the Valley, and they might have run around with a bunch of homies. They might have been from a homie's neighborhood, but once they got to prison, they just went and then ran white. I've seen that before. I'm sure you have too.
Right.
So, but this, my uncle telling me, he goes, you got to run with your people. When I first went in there, you go through that turnstile, tick, 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 into that long tunnel hallway. And this young black dude came up to me and he's like, hey man, what size are them shoes? And that's my first experience with LA County Jail. I didn't even know about anything about that. Nowadays, when I tell the story, people laugh because they're already knowing. But back then, we didn't know about that. I was 18 years old,
Right.
So I'm just like, yeah, they're size 10. You know what I mean? He goes, oh, they're my size. Trade me. And he had some old shot out ass house slippers on. Now, what I did when I went in there is I went and I scanned and I looked around. It's a very small, narrow holding cell.
Hall 40, right?
Yeah. So then there was, all the white dudes were right at the front. There was two guys sitting there, and there was like a couple of kids sitting there. So I just plopped down right where they're at. And there was this one white dude that was there, and he had some tattoos on him. He's sitting there talking about, yeah, man, I stabbed a child molester in Chino, and this and that. I kicked this dude's ass because he's a rat. Talking
all this high power.
You know what kind of person I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So he's woofing all this stuff, and they're all listening to him. I'm sitting there the same way. And then when the dude came up and asked me my shoes, I said, no, I don't want to trade my shoes. So he left, and he comes back with all his people, and he's like, hey man, the homie said to give up your shoes. And I'm like, no, I ain't gonna. And then this kid punched me. So right off the bat, I got up, and I'm just like, well, what's up, one-on-one? And this fool's like, yeah, man, has his fingers all out like this, yeah, man, I'm gonna beat this white boy's ass. Well, it didn't go down that way. So I was, we were slinging him back and forth, and he went to take a swing, and he slipped and he fell, and I was on top of him, and then they all just rushed me. And next thing you know, I was like a pinball in there, bing, 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 all over bouncing off every wall and everything, laying on the ground. And this is real talk, man. This is real talk. Laying on the ground, they're telling him, hey, cuz, get you your shoes. And this fool, he's whining, he's cocking his foot back to kick me in the face, and he stopped and he looked at me, And then he's like, you know what? Let him keep him, man. And you know, he earned his shit.
Right.
And then this other fool,
though, bro.
yeah, this other fool's grabbing my leg and he's getting ready to strip my shoe off. And he's like, hey, man, no. You know, leave it alone, right? You know, fuck it. At least he got down for his.
Right.
So then the dude was mad. He's like, you know, he's like motherfucker, like that, right? And he looks over at this other white kid. He's like, hey, white boy, give up your shoes. This kid popped up like a jack in the box. I don't want no problems, stripping his shoes off, you know. Right. So then they went and talked to this other white dude and they said, hey, you know, you got a problem with this? And he's like, he looked at me and he goes, I don't know that motherfucker. Now
this was the tough guy shooting all these fucking I killed 37 people story, right?
Yeah, this is the guy that punched somebody so hard his ear was flapping. One of those kind of guys.
Right. He didn't happen to have a receding hairline, did he?
You know what? I think he did. I think so, man. You know. Anyways, but yeah. Right. So the reason, just to back up a little bit, the reason I was in the county jail was because me and my old lady's dad, he's, you know, I don't want to really say where he's from, what his name is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was from Oviedo too. And I went to go take him to do something and we got pulled over. Well, right off the rip, I wasn't on parole or probation. I had a driver's license. It was my homeboy's car. Well, it was my homeboy's mom's car. And me and my old lady's dad were over at this house where he was. And my old lady's dad told him, hey, give JD the keys. He's going to take me down the street to go pick something up. So my homeboy threw him the keys. So me and my old lady's dad got into the car at the same exact time. Right. So my whole thing was I knew he was carrying. And like when we got pulled over, I said, hey, man, check this out. Here's the story. I don't know you. You don't know me. I just picked you up from the gas station. I'm giving you a ride. You know, and that's that. So he's like, all right. I said, now give me what you got. And I gave it and I stuffed it into my seat. So I said, if they find it, it's on me. And I'll take responsibility for it, I promise. So when we got pulled out of the car, like he asked if I could search, and I said, no, you can't. I'm not on parole or probation. When he asked him, you know, you on probation? And he goes, yeah, I'm on parole. And they said, oh, everybody, you know, get out of the car.
They got grounded for search now.
Yeah, so they separated us, and I told him, I said, look, man, I don't know this cat. I've never met him. I'm just giving him a ride. That's it. And they're like, they went and asked him, and he said the same exact thing. So when they searched the car, I go, and this is where I messed up. I told him, if you find anything in that car, it's mine. He goes, well, what am I supposed to find? Right. I said, I'm just saying, I said, I don't know. I said, but I'm just saying I take responsibility. I don't know this cat, you know? So they found, he goes, so you're taking responsibility for this? And he found a burner.
Yikes.
Found a strap. So I'm like, that's mine. Well, they let him go. But what they did, what was dirty, is they called his parole officer. So he beat me to the county.
On him right away, huh?
Yep. So his parole officer only gave him a 30-day tryout because they were still doing that kind of shit back then, you know?
Right.
So he's up in 9,500 when I show up there all beat up. And I told him what happened. I said, yeah, I fought for my shoes. And he goes, what about your people? Your people didn't do nothing? And I'm like, no, these dudes didn't do anything. And he's just like, well, you can run with us, but it's going to be hard for you. And it was hard, man.
For sure. You know, yeah. Sometimes people think that they're going the easier route because, you know, a lot of whites will come in and they run with, I mean, look where we live, you know what I mean? They run with Mexicans on the streets and this and that, and they're not from a clique either. But generally they'll click up in there, you know what I mean? Thinking that they're going to have it easy, that these guys will have my backs. But generally what happens, and you know this for a fact, is they're the first ones sent off onto the mission. You know what I mean? So they can earn their shit, you know what I mean? So I can get the respect of hanging with them. But they're always the first ones sent on the mission. You know, I've seen it happen time and time again, you know? And that's the deal, though. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. So you want to fucking run a certain way. You're going to claim something. They want to know that you're going to back them up, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to let you run with us if I don't think you're going to run with us when it comes time to run with us, you know? Does that make sense? Exactly. If you're not willing to walk out to the yard with us and get busy, you know what I mean? Then why should you run with us now? So you're identified as us. So therefore you get in trouble. We're supposed to be involved. These kids don't understand, they join these gangs and they don't even know the rules. You know what I mean? I know this. I certainly didn't know the rules. Are you getting sleep out of my eyes?
No, I'm turning off these stupid notifications that keep banging on my ear. Can you hear them?
Yeah, that's why I usually put it on airplane mode. I thought you were getting sleep out of my eyes for me.
My bad, homie.
Yeah, people join these cliques and they don't even know the rules, bro. Like, I didn't really know the rules when I joined up. You know what I mean? I sure found out quick enough. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to do everything that they're willing to do, if you're going to run with them. So, I mean, if you could tell any of these kids out there anything, they get pulled over for their little boo-boo, possession or whatever, and they go to the county jail and look at 180 days and they don't know what to do. What would you suggest they do?
I mean, what my thing is the way I always did it with my homies and the way we always had an understanding. But of course, this is a different mentality nowadays.
For sure.
But back then, it's like you take responsibility for all your own shit. But in a situation like with my old lady's dad, he's a pinto. You know what I mean? He's convict, been in and out of the system. I've never been in the system, so I could go ahead and take that and probably get some little weak ass county time and he'll get off. But if you're in a car, like there's 4 of you in a car and you're youngsters and you guys are all holding dope, then just be a man and take responsibility for your own actions because you knew what you signed up for when you got into this. That's why I don't sugarcoat this shit. I tell these kids that if you're going to play in this game, at least be solid in it. At least don't let your partner go down. If there's something in the car, don't all of you just stay quiet. Whoever's responsible for it better take that rap, because it's not right to take your boys to the jailhouse with you if you know you're guilty, but you don't want to say nothing. You're like, well, I don't want to snitch on myself. Well, you're not only are you not snitching on yourself, but you're basically not confirming nor denying that they had anything to do with it. So you're kind of like dry snitching on your own peeps,
Right.
Yeah.
I tell them, just keep it real. Don't come in selling shit like the old boy that was selling the fucking, I stabbed a child molester, I punched his ear off and all that shit. Just keep it real. I mean, if you ain't a killer, don't be claiming to be a killer, because exactly. those are the scary ones, bro. You know what I mean? Come in claiming, I did this, I did that. I remember when I got my, the marbles put in my tallywhacker. You know what I'm talking about? So I know
exactly what you're talking about.
So I got the skin pulled out, right? And I got the sharpened toothbrush. And I told old boy, I go, hey, you ever book anyone before? Man, I stabbed fucking plenty of people. Whoop, whoop. You know what I mean? Came at me with all that. And I'm like, so you got to sort of come at it with that kind of pressure. You know what I mean? I got you. Bro, he almost passed out when he put it in me. You know what I mean? Like he's turning, but he couldn't get it all the way through. Like,
yeah.
And so I ended up having to just hit his hand and push it all the way through. And I was just right there. Like every story you just told me was a lie, So don't come in claiming to be something you're not, like if you're not a killer, let it be known. You know what I mean? You don't have to be soft as cotton. You just have to defend yours. Like you said, all you got to do is get down. I don't know if the rules are still that way, bro. You know what I mean? Because the rules have always been the way you just said. If you get down for yours, you get your little knots and bumps and bruises, and you kept yours and they ain't got it yet, they usually let you keep it. They generally used to let you keep it. You know what I mean? Like, homeboy got down for his. You know what I mean? He didn't pee on himself like the other dude who jumped up and pulled his shoes off. I had a very similar story in the same hall 40, right? That's what you're talking about? Reception? Yeah. I had a very similar story. I don't know if you ever caught it, but some big old Crips are going around pulling all the white boys' pants out looking for money bags. Back in 92, we still had money, as you recall, and we had the money bags. And I sat next to one of these tattooed up dudes, blah, blah. I told him, I go, hey, homie, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at some time, and I'm not going out like that. And he's like, oh, don't worry, youngster, I got you. So they come rolling up to us, and he stands up and pulls his pants out himself. He goes, I ain't even got a money bag, man. I'm like, son of a bitch, man. And they hit me up next, of course. You know what I mean? I go, you got me fucked. And that was it. The first time I woke up. You know what I mean? Anyway, you can catch more of my story on my channels. Let's stick to you.